Alright guys, so we calculated the variances, and the next part of what's required is to do the actual profit. So profit, reminder, it's sales less cost of sales less any other expenses. Sales is your actual selling price times by your actual selling quantity. Cost of sales is your opening stock if there's any, plus production costs, which consist of raw material, labor and overheads, minus closing stock, which consists of closing raw material or closing finished stock, and then if there's any other non-production costs, we'll deduct that as well. So first things first, the sales is actual selling price times actual selling quantity. So where did we get that from? The scenario, you can see that actual selling price is 640, the actual selling quantity is 490. So multiply that together, we get total sales of 313,600. Now the calculation of cost of sales. So remember, this is actual profit, so everything must be at actual. The only thing is, when you have opening and closing stock, the accounting standard says, IFRS says, we can record inventory, which is opening and closing stock, at the standard price. So if we look at metal tubing, the actual purchase is 18,000. That comes basically from this actual column over here, 18,000. Okay. However, so there was closing stock of metal tubing of 100 that was given, but the standard price is 6 Rand per meter. So that will be deducted because closing stock is deducted. Then leather, the actual leather purchase was 24,000, which was given. Foam was 4,800, which is also just from this actual column from the table. Direct labor is 52,800. Variable overheads is 70,000, and fixed overheads is 105,000. So all of those actual costs gets inputted in the calculation of cost of sales. Okay. Then we must remember, when it comes to finished goods, we had 50 opening stock of finished goods. Now finished goods has gone through all the costs: material, labor, overheads. Okay, so there's 50 opening stock, so all the cost comes to 440. So opening stock is 50 times 440. So remember, it's opening stock is, it should be 50 times 440. Okay, so 50 times 440 is 22,000. Closing stock is, start with 50, reduce 500, less 490, which is what we've sold. We're left with 60, and 60 times the standard price, which should be standard because IFRS says we must use the standard, is 440. And remember, it's opening stock, right, plus production costs less closing stock. Therefore, that's minuses. Okay, so when we add up all of this, we get to 269,600, and then so sales minus cost of sales gives you gross profit of 44,000. There's no other cost, so gross profit essentially equals actual profit. Right, and then lastly, budgeted profit. So only difference is here, everything will be at budget. We budgeted 550 units at 600 Rand per unit, so 5 times 600 is 330,000. Opening stock will again be at standard. So this 22,000 and that 22,000 is the same because IFRS says we must use the standard. And production will be, we budgeted 600 units to produce at 440. So in other words, this 264 includes material, labor and overheads. This 440 includes all the production costs per unit, and we budgeted 600 units. And then we less closing stock, remember, but it's budgeted. So remember, we budgeted 50, we budgeted to produce 600, and we budgeted to sell 550. So we're going to be left with 100, and 100 times 440, which is the standard cost, is 44,000. And then once you add all that up, you get the budgeted cost of sales of 242,000. And then budgeted revenue minus budgeted cost of sales is budgeted gross profit, which there's no other costs will be budgeted net profit as well. Okay, and then lastly, the reconciliation. All I just want to mention here, when you reconcile from budget to actual, all that really happens is that the favorable variances gets added. So you'll see all the positives are added and the adverse variance are deducted. So when we do that, so all the variances that we calculated in the previous video, so all the variance of the stable, favorable and adverse variance, but just remember there's certain variance that was not asked. So for example, we weren't asked to do the leather variances, but they gave us the variances for leather, and we weren't asked to do sales. You'll never be asked to do sales at this level, but you were given the sales, and you have to be given that because from the difference between included in profit is sales as well as leather. So if we don't include the sales and the leather variances in this table, we won't reconcile. But again, that variances were given, and you can see with leather it was both unfavorable, therefore it was deducted, whereas sales was, the price was favorable, the volume was unfavorable, so therefore it was deducted. And so when you start with budgeted profit, add the favorable variances, deduct the unfavorable variances to get to the actual profit, and then you reconcile perfectly. You can see, so this is really just a test. Here you can see we did the two independently, and we tested it by taking the budget in between, including the variances, and you can see we reconcile to the actual profit. Alright, so that is the calculation of actual budgeted profit as well as the reconciliation, and we come back just the last video on the discussion for the reasons for the variances. Alright, thanks guys.